Okay, welcome. Welcome back, everybody. Hello. Let me just get this going. It's been a while, and actually, it's been like a week, but it feels like it's been a really long time. But it's been a little over a week since my car accident. Had the head-on collision with an ambulance. So I know a lot of you guys have been sending me love and prayers, and I feel like I'm healing fast, but also in this time I've given myself the space to really reflect back on, teachings of A Course of Miracles actually, and how real this physical world really is, and how much fear comes up even with all this practice, and I just want to share a little bit of my journey today, this past week. So, um, every single week, for those of you guys that don't know and first time here checking out, this is A Course of Miracles. It's a spiritual book, spiritual text that has really profoundly shaped my life in terms of how I relate to people, to events and situations in my life, and to myself. To my own stories and my own traumas and things like that. So it has deeply impacted my life, just like this car accident this past Friday. Let me let people in. Okay, and so I just want to start today by you know saying how grateful I am for all the people that have sent love, for you guys that are on the call here today on on what is it, Memorial Day weekend, that you guys are here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We are gonna finish and or continue on our chapter study at some point here, but before we dive into this session today, I want to just share a little bit of the accident, my experience in the in that. So even though from all different worldly perspectives, like that is a very frightening event. Like when I was driving, the Tesla's on auto drive, so really it never hits anything while it's on auto drive. But there was just such a almost like perfect storm for it to happen, and there was an 18 wheeler to my left. It's a 4-lane road, so everyone's going pretty fast on my side, and an ambulance on the other side of the road coming this way was, I guess, stopped at the light. Maybe I don't know. I couldn't see him because it was an 18 wheeler to my left. But what I was told was he turned his lights on and he made the left, and I guess the 18 wheeler was stopping. And as he stopped, and I don't know why he's stopping. So as I cleared him, the moment I cleared him, the ambulance was right in front of me. So there wasn't really a lot of time. I don't really remember too much before the head-on collision, but I do remember that it was not like I didn't go into chaos, right when the accident happened. I was actually pretty calm, even after I hit, even after all the airbags came out and I hit my face and all the stuff on it. Like I felt pretty calm when I got out of the car. Like, I was like, okay, I just wanted to check up on them and made sure that nobody else was hurt. And so, at first I didn't know that there was like really any injuries. I've never been in a car accident like this. I've always heard that that adrenaline kicks in and you'll feel the pain later. I was like, no, I'm good. I feel good. And the first thing I was actually thinking was, good, I don't have to miss the gym at all, right? And but like as the adrenaline wore off, my body started to hurt. Like my chest, I was having a hard time breathing. My neck started to hurt really bad, which is still hurts now. My lower back, like everything, just the pains all just started to come in, like probably 30-45 minutes after the accident. And as soon as the body starts to feel pain, I feel like for me, like the fears started to come through my mind. I started to think about um, you know the car itself, like what are some of the injuries that I may sustain long term, and like the anxiety starts to kick in, like what's the aftermath of a car accident. And I was going back and forth because I was, everything that happens, I think in terms of A Course in Miracles, I'm like, all right, what's the spiritual lesson here for me? What's the growth that's available for me? And so I was just asking, I was giving it over. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. I know the car, I'm probably upside down on my car, but we'll figure it out as we go, And so, yeah, I took about a week off, of everything. I wasn't really doing any calls. Hey, welcome, Catherine. I took the whole week off. I wanted to really give myself the time and the space to learn what was coming through. I knew that by not jumping back into doing my normal routine, there was a lot of things will present itself to me. So, first got so much love from everybody. Like people were giving me Reiki from all across the country, everywhere. And it was probably all the love that I felt, if it contributed to the healing. But some of the things that I learned was how fast we can shift to fear and anxiety, and equally how fast we can shift from fear to love. And today's section that we're actually going to read is the guide to salvation, and the guide is the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is our inner teacher that is within, that is going to the Holy Spirit helps us reinterpret our experiences from a place of love rather than the place of fear. Always guiding us back to truth, if we're willing. So a lot of prayers this week. And the Course says that through forgiveness is really our way back home. So embracing this forgiveness, I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at forgiving. I don't hold anything with anybody. And it was interesting because I have no negative energy to the drivers on the other side. However, it was their fault. So, but really still just praying for their fast recoveries too, because I'm sure they're probably in as much pain as I'm in, and if that's the case, just being really outwardly focused. And forgiveness in the Course of Miracles is it's really to remove the energies that we have to situations and events, right? It's less about me condoning or like the way we have forgiveness for people. Forgiveness in the Course is really to release any energies we have attached to the events, just because we're not really sure what, if we see it from a place of fear, there will be different things that come into our mind, and if we observe it with the place of love, different thoughts from that will come. So just practicing a lot of forgiveness. And I recognize, wow, I needed to really do some forgiveness for myself, and because I'm sitting there, like, we're going to all these doctor's appointments and physical therapy and stuff, and while my wife is driving, I'm like, every time she makes a left or she's driving, I'm like, wow, there's such a safer way to make this drive, and then if she picks up her phone, I'm like, oh my God, like, there's a little bit of PTSD probably that came from this, but I think it's really helped me recognize the importance of, like, really paying attention while I'm driving. My wife used to get upset at me whenever I would pick up my phone and text message while I'm driving. I'm like, oh, it's real quick. But, now, like, being in that situation and having gone through that, it's a little bit deeper. Like, the awareness and the compassion to that is deeper. And I really got to, experience that. So, yeah, recognizing forgiveness, embracing forgiveness, and then also the teachings of the Course of there's really nothing to be sorry about, to feel angst or fear around, because there are no accidents. No chance plays no part in God's plans, right? Like everything had to happen so perfectly for me to hit this ambulance, for me not to be able to see. And then all the lessons that come with it. I mean, I'm sure there will be more. Lessons and miracles are alive, which means they transcend time. So it's not just like, oh, what am I going to learn here today? It's going to be a continuous lesson. And so life gives us opportunities to do that every day with everything, no matter how small it is, So anyways, hold on. So I just wanted to share a little bit of what, was happening for that. And hey, welcome, Nicole. And so we're gonna go into chapter 5, section 3. We'll continue that here today. But I do want to just open what Marianne will say. Hold on. Yeah, part of me was like, I'm burning through pain, of course. A part of me was like, I don't feel comfortable enough to sit in my chair to do a whole hour and a half. I don't feel like, doing the course here this morning. And then I was like, you know what? This is probably what I need to heal. Like, I got to stop sitting around and laying in bed all day and eating in bed and just like propelling the sickness or the illness or the pain that I have, and just like, screw it, I'm doing it, I need it. And so, all right. Thanks. Lots of hearts from everybody. So this is a Year of Miracles by Marianne Williamson. And I just like to flip open to it a lot and just see what this master wordsmith has for us. So, of course, perfect on day 260 on burning through pain. Yes, thank you. Chaos often fosters the greatest creativity. Breakdowns often precede the greatest breakthroughs. And when the pain is when the pain is the greatest, it is often when we're on the brink of the greatest realization. The ego would prefer not to look directly into the darkness. It would not have us investigate our pain, for that is when we learn from it. The ego knows that crisis often leads to that pivotal moment when we fall to our knees and ask God for help. The ego is endangered by crisis, preferring that a mild river of misery simply run through the background of our lives, never bad enough to make us question where it comes from and what it means. Yet, that painful moment, endured and transformed, is our chance to rout Satan and remove him forever. When the pain is burned through rather than numbed, when our darkness is brought to light and then forgiven, then and only then can we move on. And move on we do. The ego knows this and stakes its life on the fact that we don't. I feel like I read that one a couple times, but obviously we need that reminder, or I need that reminder here today. And so thank you, Marianne, for that. That was day 260, if you guys want to kind of mark that down yourselves. I know every time people are like, what was that again? And then I close it, I forget. But yeah. When the pain is the greatest is often when we're on the brink of our greatest realization. So, I'm in pain, and that means lots of realizations and breakthroughs are available for me. I just get to have the courage to look. Okay, So we're going to go into chapter 5, section 3 here. My invitation for anyone that is listening is to let go of what you think you understand about anything. Whatever your background is in spirituality, whatever your religion is, we can, for the next 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so, just put that aside and see if we can feel the transmission of the words from A Course in Miracles. Even if you don't agree with words, symbols, even if you don't have any idea what the Course is, that does not matter at all. Transmission of frequency of energies is beyond words, is beyond the physical realm. So we can tune into that and tap into it. Last time that we were on, it was the voice for God. Okay, so really we're talking about the Holy Spirit. Like, what is the Holy Spirit? And A Course in Miracles, the entire purpose of the Course is for you to find your own inner teacher. Is to find the guide, because the Holy Spirit, or this guide, is within each one of us. How do we cultivate it? How do we strengthen it in ourselves? How do we hear it clearer and louder? So, all right. We'll dive into this, and at any point, you guys can raise your hand or unmute yourself, or just put in the comments anywhere of, what questions you may have. What are your thoughts? Okay, so the guide to salvation. The way to recognize your brother is by recognizing the Holy Spirit in him. I have already said that the Holy Spirit is the bridge for the transfer of perception to knowledge. So we can use the terms as they were related, because in his mind they are. So again, perception and knowledge. The Course brings up that there are two thought systems. Okay, one is of the ego and one is of the Holy Spirit. One is aligned with love, one is aligned with fear. Now, there are two things that we have to distinguish first, which is, one is our perception, which is pretty self-explanatory. I think we all understand that we perceive things differently, right? As we listen to the Course, we're going to perceive it and interpret it differently, meaning that if it could be interpreted differently, then it is not the truth. And so we just have to distinguish that first in our lives, that our stories and our perceptions is just that. Okay, it's not the truth. And because it's not the truth, it doesn't require us to go to war over it. We don't need to defend it like somebody is going to die. All right. Then there's knowledge. Knowledge is truth. Knowledge is unalterable, never changes. And really we can say it's love with a capital L. And that's beyond our definition of love. If we think about the greatest unconditional love that we can, right? Even like the mother's love, even the mother's love, the unconditional love for her kids, like that still falls short from this love of capital L. But that is the closest that we can relate to, because even the mother's love is up for our own interpretations. Although that is kind of like the greatest love we can really imagine in our minds at this point. So take that and then magnify by 1,000,000, and it'll still probably be short of God's love. All right, so that is something that is unalterable, never changing, and so the distinction is between perception and knowledge, and the Holy Spirit is the bridge between that, between the experience of this physical world that we live in, which is full of lots of chaos, anxiety, problems, pains, and all of that, to the to the spiritual realm, which is heaven. The Course says heaven. Heaven is also here right now. It's available to you, but we just have to choose it. The vision of one costs you the vision of the other, and a couple other ways for that when I recognize which one I'm in is how trusting I am. We are very skeptical of things in the physical world, because there is no constant. Nothing is ever constant enough for us to say that is the truth. So because of that confusion, we don't know where to place our trust. And so the only place to place it is with the Holy Spirit, right? It's not with bodies. It's not with everything. It's just, where's my internal teacher? My internal teacher will tell me yes or no, right? But if we're like, well, based on evidence of our life and our 3D world up to this point, it challenges this instinct of trust, this instinct of love, that we need to somehow protect ourselves. You know, the heart wants to love, wants to give, wants to trust. And then the mind, or the brain, or like mind with a lowercase m, comes in and tries to protect our heart, like builds this barrier around it. Like, oh no, if you do this, you're going to be in trouble. You won't be able to pay your bills. You won't be able to, you'll lose control. Or your kids won't love you, your parents won't love you, whatever it is, the ego comes in and does that. So the Holy Spirit here is the bridge for the transfer of perception to knowledge, so that we can use it. So this relationship must be in his mind, God's mind, because unless it were, the separation between the two ways of thinking would not be open to healing. So there's a part of us that is calling for the healing. Okay, we know that it's there. That's why we're not satisfied with any material things. We're not satisfied with the physical things. But there is something that we can strive for. He is part of the Holy Trinity because his mind is partly yours and also partly God's. Talking about Holy Spirit here. This needs clarification, not in statement, but in experience. The Holy Spirit is the idea of healing. Being thought, the idea gains as it is shared. So we talked about this last time, which is the invitation to the Holy Spirit, that thoughts increase when it is given away. And the Course says that we haven't really healed, and we're not healing because we have not shared the idea of healing. Okay, we have not shared the idea of forgiveness. We have not recognized the Holy Spirit in our brothers and sisters enough. We haven't shared this idea. So, the Holy Spirit is the idea of healing. Being the call for God, it is also the idea of God. Oh. Since you are part of God, it is also the idea of yourself, as well as all of his creations. The idea of the Holy Spirit shares the property of other ideas because it follows the laws of the universe of which it is part of. It is strengthened by giving away. It increases in you as you give it to your brother. Your brother does not have to be aware of the Holy Spirit in himself or in you for this miracle to occur. He may have dissociated the call for God, just as you have. The dissociation is healed in both of you as you become aware of the call for God in him, and thus acknowledging its being. Okay, so all of our relationships in life, okay, they're all an opportunity for us to strengthen the Holy Spirit in us, the voice, for us to trust more. And we don't even need other people, right? This is what the Course says. You don't need those people to recognize the Holy Spirit. You just recognize it in him or her, and that strengthens it. The idea starts to be stronger. The two are diametrically opposed. The two diametrically opposed ways of seeing your brother. They must both be in your mind, because you are the perceiver. They must also be in his, because you are perceiving him. See him through the Holy Spirit in his mind, and you will recognize him in yours. What you acknowledge in your brother, you are acknowledging in yourself, and what you share, you strengthen. This is literally our only practice. Our only practice in life is to see the Holy Spirit in others. Okay, the voice of the Holy Spirit is weak in you right now. That is why you must share it. So if you have a lot of anxiety, if you have a lot of fears, chaos in your heart and in your mind, we have to, this is the way to strengthen. This is the way to return to love, is that we must share the Holy Spirit. And it's so easy. We just look to others, especially the people that irks us, right? Especially the people that triggers us or creates fear in us. Like, oh, the same Holy Spirit that flows through me flows through you. If I recognize that, this is how the Holy Spirit becomes stronger in us. All right. And that is like, we can do it everywhere. Just think about somebody that you're completely, turned off by, right? So like, I don't know, maybe it's a presidential candidate. Maybe it's, somebody on social media. We can practice this. We have this opportunity all the freaking time. We scroll through social media and literally, I agree, I disagree, I don't like. That's the only thing that's going through our mind. That's like that going through this automation, this dopamine automation. But we can go further. Why? Right? I don't like this person. I don't like what they said. But you know what? The same Holy Spirit that flows through me flows through this person. We must be going somewhere together. And in that moment, you're strengthening, you're using this as an opportunity to strengthen the Holy Spirit in you. So that is why you must share it. Not for other people, right? So like, to see the good in others is not for them, it's for you. Interesting. It must be increased in strength before you can hear it. So this is a practice. Like today, we can literally go out and take any scenario, right? We can take any scenario that in our life, and we can say, how do I shift it from a perception from fear to love? Okay, fear meaning any judgments that I may have. The smallest disturbance, like, I don't like this person on Instagram, right? Like, as you're scrolling through it, that could be huge. That could be massive healing. What do I need to forgive, about them, about myself, right? I see a version of them that is not really them because I'm not seeing the Holy Spirit in them. It is not weak in itself, but it is limited by your unwillingness to hear it. See, our just going through the scrolling, the mindless things, that's our unwillingness to look deeper and to actually call forth the idea of healing in the Holy Spirit. If you make the mistake of looking for the Holy Spirit in yourself alone, your thoughts will frighten you, because by adopting the ego's viewpoint, you're undertaking an ego alien journey with the ego as your guide. This is bound to produce more fear. Delay is of the ego because time is its concept. Both time and delay are meaningless in eternity. I have said before that the Holy Spirit is God's answer to the ego. Everything of which the Holy Spirit reminds you is in direct opposition of the ego's notions, because true and false perceptions are themselves opposed. The Holy Spirit has the task of undoing what the ego has made. He also undoes it at the same level on which the ego operates, or the mind would be unable to understand the change. So also, as we are going through the readings here, right, like, maybe bring up to your mind, things that are also unclear for you, right? Like, what are some decisions that I have to make? What are some things that I need clarity around? I know that as I read the course, sometimes I'll like completely not even like be aware of the words I'm reading, but there's downloads about something else in my mind. Then I got to go back to them, like, okay, wait, let me read it again. So allow those thoughts to come to you as well. Just allowing everything. That's the teaching of the course. It's like, if we don't place judgment on our thoughts, it gets to flow through our mind. It downloads and then it goes. It downloads and then goes. But then we try to hold on to things. And by holding on, we create a blockage. We create a blockage of the flow that we can live in, which is in the present moment. That's the only thing that there is. So I have repeatedly emphasized that one level of the mind is not understandable to another. It is with the ego and the Holy Spirit with time and eternity. Eternity is an idea of God, so the Holy Spirit understands it perfectly. Time is a belief of the ego, so the lower mind, which is the ego's domain, accepts it without question. The only aspect of time that is eternal is now. The only aspect of time that is eternal is now, because now there's an eternity of nows. But tomorrow, later, yesterday, those don't even really exist. They are limitations to the right now. And so the ego loves to play in the future and in the past. But there is only really right now. There's an infinite amount of right now. That's what the Holy Spirit is trying to teach us. There's a section in this chapter that's going to talk about the illusion of time, and then also about eternity. All right, but for now, just know that the Holy Spirit holds the answers for you. And there is a part of you that know that you have it, that the answers are there. You strengthen the Holy Spirit. You let the Holy Spirit's voice guide you more in your life because you want the remembering. You want the recognition of the things that you once already knew. And we know it. We can feel it. There's a calling in all of us for unity. There's a calling in all of us that is for something much greater than the separate versions of ourselves. We all know there's so much more than the life that we're living. Or not the life that we're living, but the things that we are going after, the things that we are making as our idols. There's so much more than that. And every single person is on some level conflicted. Right? Conflicted with what you have and what you want. And the forgiveness, the Course says in one of the chapters we did earlier, is let me forgive the fact that I forgot who I am. Let me forgive the fact that I forgot what I have. So that forgiveness is simply to remember what I already have. And from there, that's why the Course brings more peace to relationships in our lives. That's why the Course brings more clarity, more fulfillment, because it's to bring our minds back from all the chasing. All right, like, come back. You don't need anything. Nothing can hurt you. Nothing can add to you or take away from you. Like, that's profound right there. If we can really, really be with that. Nothing can take away from you and nothing can add to you. If we really understood what that meant and we contemplated on just that itself for the rest of our lives, it's going to strengthen the Holy Spirit's voice. All right, so the Holy Spirit is the mediator between the interpretations of the ego and the knowledge of spirit. His ability to deal with symbols enables him to work with the ego's belief on its own language. His ability to look beyond the symbols into eternity enables him to understand the laws of God, for which he speaks. He can therefore perform the function of reinterpreting what the ego makes, not by destruction, but by understanding. Understanding is light, and light leads to knowledge. The Holy Spirit is in light because he is in you who are light. But you yourself do not know this. It is therefore the task of the Holy Spirit to reinterpret you on behalf of God. So the Holy Spirit knows all the things that you're doing, understands it. Understands your chasing of relationships, chasing of money, chasing of all the material stuff of this physical world, chasing for control, chasing for things that just do not give you what you think it does. The Holy Spirit understands that part. But also, beyond all of that, right? The Holy Spirit is like the enlightened guru for us. Like understanding all of your temptations and still like, this is what you really want. Okay. It's right here. It's already in your hands. So how does the Holy Spirit support us or help us if we just constantly like, here is the gold, here is what we want. We already have it in our hands, but we're still running around chasing all these other things. And as we chase, right, it could be, the form is different, but the chase itself is the same, right? We're chasing for more love. We're chasing for more money. We're chasing for more recognition, more acknowledgement, more control, more being right, whatever it is that we're chasing, right? We just keep chasing and running in circles. And the Holy Spirit's like, sure, you can do that. But also, when you fall on your face, here is what you've always wanted. That's why, like, when the Course says pain is a great, if we shift our relationship to pain and to the bad things that possibly happens to us, we shift our relationship to those, we start to see that there are so many lessons beyond it. Instead of becoming a victim, we can have gratitude for it. Now, that also goes with people that are annoying in our lives. Right? People that we just don't agree with and what they're saying. People that are just stubborn and arrogant and whatever we want to call them. Right? Rude, mean. Yeah, those all come up. And we're like, wait, how do I look beyond that? Right? Let me look beyond the words. Let me look beyond this person to the Holy Spirit that is also operating in this person and in me. So that way, spirit can be strengthened in me. We can shift our relationship to those things. That's how we heal it. Okay, as we continue to judge, as we continue to attack, all we do is delay. Delay is of the ego. The Holy Spirit's like, nope, right now, here's your opportunity. You can heal. All right, so you cannot understand yourself alone. This is because you have no meaning apart from your rightful place in the sonship. And the rightful place of the sonship is God. This is your life, your eternity, and yourself. It is of this that the Holy Spirit reminds you. It is this that the Holy Spirit sees. This vision frightens the ego because it is so calm. Peace is the ego's greatest enemy because according to its interpretation of reality, war is the guarantee of its survival. The ego becomes strong in strife. If you believe there is strife, if there is strife, you will react viciously because the idea of danger has entered your mind. The idea itself is an appeal to the ego. The Holy Spirit is as vigilant as the ego to the call of danger, opposing it with his strength, just as the ego welcomes it. The Holy Spirit counters this welcome by welcoming peace. Eternity and peace are as closely related as are time and war. Perception derives meaning from relationships. Those you accept are the foundations of your belief. The separation is merely another term for a split mind. The ego is the symbol of separation, just as the Holy Spirit is the symbol of peace. What you perceive in others, you are strengthening in yourself. You may let your mind misperceive, but the Holy Spirit lets your mind reinterpret its own misperceptions. So like the Holy Spirit is very gentle. It's like, yeah, go misperceive, go attack, go do all these things, and come back when you have the willingness and when you're tired of all this chaos. Because at some point, you're going to be in so much pain and so much confusion and so much conflict that you're going to say, God, what? What is it? What is it that you want? And then you start to ask, right? You start to invite the voice of the Holy Spirit in. Okay, so like any conflicts, confusion that you may have, just know that no matter how small you think they are equally disturbing to your mind. Okay, so don't wait till it becomes something massive before you're like, okay, God, here, take it over. You don't need to. You can give those things over even though it's very, very small. The smaller that I believe that the smaller that you can find those things and still give it over, that's how we find peace, right? Because those are the little nuisances that are just operating in the background that the ego's like, we just keep it here. Just enough so that you still believe in separation, just enough that you will still judge and attack. So we have to find and dig for those things, the smallest little things, smallest disturbances. We got to practice taking that and giving it to the Holy Spirit. It's like, here you go. The Holy Spirit is the perfect teacher. He uses only what your mind already understands to teach you what you do not understand about it. The Holy Spirit can deal with with a reluctant learner without going counter to his mind, because part of it is still for God. Despite the ego's attempts to conceal this part, it is still much stronger than the ego, although the ego does not recognize it. The Holy Spirit recognizes it perfectly because of its own dwelling place, the place in the mind where he is at home. You are at home there too, because it is a place of peace, and peace is of God. You, who are part of God, not at home except in his peace. If peace is eternal, you are at home only in eternity. The ego made the world as it perceives it, but the Holy Spirit will interpret what the ego made. Sees the world as a teaching device for bringing you home. The Holy Spirit must perceive time and reinterprets it into the timeless. He must work through opposites because he must work with and for a mind that is in opposition. Correct and learn and be open to learning. You have not made truth, but truth can still set you free. Look as the Holy Spirit looks and understand as he understands. His understanding looks back to God in the remembrance of me. He is in communion with God always, and he is a part of you. He is your guidance to salvation, because he holds the remembrance of things past and to come and brings them to the present. He holds his gladness gently in your mind, asking only that you increase it in his name by sharing it to increase his joy in you. So, the Holy Spirit is joy. Okay? Like your life, if you don't have joy in your thoughts, that means you must be hanging out with the ego. If you want to hang out with the Holy Spirit, you got to learn to strengthen the Holy Spirit's voice in you. And the way that we strengthen the Holy Spirit's voice in us is to see it in other people. All right, so that is this section. The next section that we will go into next time is teaching and healing, and how those two things are related. And what I would like to do in the future coming up is I'll put it in our chats, and I'll say like, okay, here are the lessons that we're going to do for the week, where we are. And then on these calls, we can go through 5 lessons or something like that, and what it means. So like if you guys want to read it, if you guys want to share what you think it means, we can also do that. But I would love to hear any takeaways. What is alive in you in this moment? What are your thoughts? As we were just reading. What came through your mind? What are some challenges?
Hello, good morning. I
Yo.
didn't raise I just figured. So it's interesting that you said, "What am I feeling?"
Mm-hmm.
Because this week has been an interesting week for me. I felt this energy bubbling up inside of me, like something that I haven't felt since I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a beast that seems to want to get out every once in a while, and I try to push it down, am, but I think in that's not working very well. So yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
a
what?
very angry part of me. So and I don't know where it's coming from. I have no idea. Just started coming up last
Mhm.
week, and I just been like kind of feeling a little like more snappy and just yeah. I don't know how to explain it. It literally feels like a beast that's awakened inside of me. That's the best way to describe it.
We take 1 week off A Course in Miracles, everybody loses their shit. No, but this is what, the course teaches. It's like, if we don't have our practices, if we don't look at life every day as a practice for peace, then we will start to lose it. Because that's the ego. The ego's like, yeah, let's just blur everything out. Like, if it's blurry, it works for the ego because you just start to work on automatic, right? Your subconscious is still to react to things. Your subconscious is still to judge things as good and bad. And because we don't even know that we're doing that, we start judging people. We're not like looking at it and giving it over to the Holy Spirit. Now we're just creating a lot more chaos because we're like, wait, I don't even know where it's coming from, right? Like, people are snappy and they don't even know where it's coming from. It's because we haven't taken enough time also for ourselves, right? Like, you probably just going from one thing to another all day, like without like, let me be still for a minute, right? Like, there's this, and this is something that I share sometimes with my wife too. I'm like, okay, every day she has like 1,000 things on her to-do list, and it's just like, I don't got time, I don't got time for this. It's just like, whoa, and I'm pretty busy also, but I don't see it that way. I really spend every moment between my calls like in stillness and silence, and I'm always in this like in this space. So like, if we're just running from one thing to another to another to another, and yeah, life will give that to you. Like, you'll just do more of that because the ego is uncomfortable with the silence. That's why a lot of times, um like when we in music too, right? Like, the silence in between the words and the silence in between the notes, like, they're probably more powerful than the words itself. The breaks that we take in between things, they're huge. They're huge for us. So we have to think like, okay, what, oh, um, like, am I taking the time, right? Or am I just becoming busier and busier and busier? Because if you're busy, you will snap in between the busyness and you won't even know you're doing it, right? And you're not giving yourself time to reflect on that snapping that just happened. Let me just busy myself away from that, and very quickly, like, we will just react. We'll have no peace inside of us, right? So, like, that's why even us intentionally taking an hour and a half a week to do this on A Course in Miracles, like, this is minimum, right? We should be doing this every day. That's why, like, the gurus and the people that practice the meditations and yoga, like, when they really get it, those are the stillness in between the notes, right? And we don't do that enough for ourselves. We just go bam, 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 all the way through from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. It's like phone, text message, call, phone, text message, do something, and just like literally no time for ourselves. And even on these calls, like, are we, like, multitasking, and do we have to do a bunch of other things at the same time? Like, do we even give ourselves any time to just like be still? Right? Like, that's why these calls are so important for me, and I love that everyone else is just here kind of supporting this, is because, like, I'm doing nothing else. Like, my phone is on, like, whatever it's called, focus or off disturbance, and like, for an hour and a half, this is all I'm doing. This is my focus, is to strengthen the do not disturb, that's right. Is to strengthen the Holy Spirit in myself. You know, strengthen my relationship to peace. And as I do this, I can stop focusing on my pains for a minute, right? Because all day I'm kind of just like walking around like, oh, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. And for an hour and a half, I'm literally focused on this, you know. And so you have to force it. You got to create the routine for yourself. That like, let me take a little time for peace. Go ahead, Brooke.
I needed this call, and I'm like, because I was so frustrated. Like, I moved, we're finally settled in Texas. So, as most people know, I moved from Northern California to Prosper, Texas, which is North Dallas. And I'm telling you guys, every freaking hiccup that could happen happened. And when my life is in disarray and things aren't organized, like we're a military family, I need order, organization, and a schedule. I live on my planner and my calendar. And some of the issues were self-inflicted because I was going too fast and I was multitasking. The house we were supposed to have, that became a legal case, which we settled. There's a legal case in my other house in California because the original owners lied on the disclosures. They tried to say us, and now I'm fighting that with the legal stuff. I got locked out of my car twice within a week, which was why it cost me over $300 because I wasn't paying attention. USAA had it like what the hell is going on here? Replaced the key, never found the key, right? Just and then I doing too much, grabbing stuff, slip and fall on my ass, my new white Chuck shoes, and I'm having to look at 14 houses because we lost the first one because people weren't live. Bro, it goes on and on. Like you can't make this up. And I even did a live, and I got emotional because I was here alone trying to get prepared for the house, and some of these things I'm like, I was losing things. I was wearing the same outfits, five clothes on rotation. Our pod was 3 weeks late. We had nothing. We had no AC. We had no, all the problems with the new house we first got, even though it was going to be built. Like, what the F? I was just, my point is that we need silence. We need to slow down. And that is something I personally am working on. I
Hmm.
need to remember to multitasking because it cost me about $3,000 in self-inflicted fuck ups on my part. Yet I wasn't organized because I had my stuff in a pod at a friend's house, and I was living out of a suitcase for 3 weeks. And then I had to find a place, and I had to look at 19 houses until I found a place. And then I had to fly back for a fucking wedding, and there was family drama there, and it was just overwhelming. Where I wanted to rock back and forth in the corner, and I am grateful to this community and my multifamily community and my triple net peaks, my mentees, because they all reached out to me, but I ignored everybody. I'm the type of person when I'm going through it, I shut down.
Mm-hmm.
I shut down. I want to be alone because I don't want my negative energy to be passed on to everybody else. And I'm angry and pissed off the world. And I had to keep myself, I'm thinking of Alex, right? And leading with love and assume ill will. And this is part of my story. Don't be mad. And I always, and I was like, Brooke, this is part of the story. But I wanted to cry every day. And I was so angry. Why? Like, I had a good vibe about coming to this, and I still do. And I love it. I love paying $3 for gas, y'all. I love the barbecue here. There was a crazy little minor tornado last night, and it was scary as hell for us. And we all slept away from the windows. Like, but hiccups coming to this was, and it kept making me. I just had to tell myself I have to be grateful. I have health. I have my family. Everything's gonna work out. And $3,000 of my own self-inflicted multitasking going too fast. Slow the hell
Hmm.
down, be present, schedule time alone, and when you feel like things are in disarray or unorganized, just set a timer for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. I call it a date with God. Some people call it meditation, and I feel it helps bring me back to be present and to have blessings. So less multitasking, slow the hell down. Don't
Hmm.
slow down on your goals and your aspirations. I will never get that. I'm relentless on that. But on my day to day, slow down, be present, stop multitasking because it cost me a lot of money. All right, it cost me a lot of money on my journey coming from California to Dallas
Hmm.
because I didn't slow down. And I was multitasking. A lot of this shit is so self inflicted now that I'm reflecting and I'm calm now. Looking back, I'm like, bro, if you would have just slowed down, really, and paid attention, and I was just wanting to get to work. You know what I'm saying? And it caused a lot of problems between trying to find a house and all of this other minor things that'll come up in stories down the road. And I'm just like, you can't make this shit up. And I just felt like, dude, what did I do to piss off God or nature? Why am I getting slammed and punched in the gut, left and right? Like, I'm a good person. I'm constantly getting punched in the gut. Like,
Yeah.
then I got to the point, like, you know what could go wrong now? Like, just fucking bring it on. Punch me some more. Like, you want to keep doing this shit? Let's go. Come on, come on, come on. And then I was just like, dude, I shut down for a while. But I'm finally at a point where I'm like, you know what? When I just talk to you and your Tesla, I get your newsletters, and you're like, hey man, I hit an ambulance, but this is what we're gonna do. And all the things, I'm gonna keep moving. I was like, bro, count your blessings. You know, because I'm really angry because I don't have car payments after two cars are paid off. And if I had that and then I had to go use insurance to get a car payment right, I'd be pissed.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm like, you
that's definitely
thank you for remembering to remind us to slow down in a world that's of hustle. We live in a hustle culture, and we're told to go balls to the wall, nonstop. Stay busy, stay busy. No, I want more free time. Just sit and look at the sun, and just close my eyes and read a freaking book. Like,
yeah.
it's gonna hurt us in the end, right? But I digress. So that's what I was thinking. All these things that you were saying, I was like, "See, Brooke, slow the hell
It's perfect. It's so beautiful, because and as you're sharing, I'm thinking about the hare and the tortoise like children's story, right? Like literally, that's just what we do. We're just like, there's the goal. The tortoise wins because the rabbit's like running all over the place, and
right."
lots of that stuff. And so we don't really know like how do we get somewhere the quickest, and where are we even going, right? Like that's the question really for ourselves. Like, what's important really, and if you don't pay attention to it, life's gonna smack you. Right, life's gonna smack you in the form of a head-on collision with an ambulance.
Right. And I think that is what I had to do as well. I'm somebody who is like, I got it, I'll do it
Mm-hmm.
myself. And something else that was eye opening because I signed up for a new mentorship with Tommy Jones, Wealth through Real Estate, where we're gonna do a bunch of house flipping and then we're gonna invest 80% of it, 20% for our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he told me when I was going through all this stuff, because we had dinner and I was kind of opening up to him. He's like, girl, stop suffering in misery. And I feel like that was like, because you have such a massive community here. Now, because you're shutting people down, people who want to help you, you won't even acknowledge their texts, their calls. You would rather shut down and be angry and hate everybody. Stop suffering in misery and know that people do care, and most people are going to help you with no will. Because when you give back to other people, it's like you give back to the when you need help, you rather just shut everybody down because you shut everything. And that was eye opening. Like we have to learn, partners nonstop in my business in the multifamily world and real estate world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going through something, especially if it's self-inflicted. I think I have it myself, and I don't want anybody's help. And I realized when I actually opened up and shared some of the things I was going through, people like, Brooke, you're dumb. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, why didn't you just reach out? We could have just had a meal. You could have slowed down for a bit or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing is don't suffer in misery, you guys. And that's why I love this call too, because it makes me feel like I'm not alone. I'm not the only one going through crazy shit, and that this too will pass. And it's a lesson learned, and it's all part of our story. We're gonna look back and we'll laugh and be like, man, I overcame all of these things, but it'll all be okay, right? We have our
Yeah.
health. You have love. It's really all that you need. And it goes back to your story being in Peru. And when you shared, man, I traveled to all these places. They have family, they have love, they have nothing, they have camaraderie, they have God in their lives. And I always remember that as well. Things
Mm.
are not that bad because I have all those things. And that's all that matters. And the grander scheme of things.
Yeah.
I'll stop. I'll just keep talking.
No, it's great. Thank you for being so so feel called to share this morning, because this is all things that we have to hear, because we all go through it on some level, right? We're just like running through the checklist of things we have to do, and it's not even the fastest or the most efficient way to do it if we try to do 5 things at the same time. Um, yeah, and that's what the course says. You're one of the highest lessons that the course can teach you is that there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go, and you need do nothing. If you can accept that, you can take a break, right? Like knowing, like, yeah, okay, I can go after my goals, but I don't even know the fastest way there. I think I do, but maybe it's to take a break, right? Maybe it's to respond to a message and spend time with somebody, because so many people, say, like, one of the things I hear a lot is like, oh, I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to go to them for this. I'm like, all right, Wayne, thanks for coming. But like, you rob people the opportunity to help you, to give, right? Maybe that's the thing that they really, really need. Maybe you going through what you're going through is to give somebody the opportunity to give, so that giving becomes strengthened in them. Right? So like, we have to think about it like that. Can we just be super in the flow? If somebody is offering, then you're receiving. Right? That receiving is also a gift, is giving. And yeah, sometimes we can't receive. It's tough. So yeah, thanks for sharing. Who else? Who else wants to share? Who else has things alive in you that you want to share? Let's see. I was watching a movie yesterday that said, the only thing harder than winning a war is keeping the peace. And I was like, whoa, is this a Course of Miracles here? There were 2 ways to look at it. One, keeping the peace means they had to actually start another war to keep the peace. And the other one is, yeah, keeping the peace because of our ego wanting to start another conflict and another war to keep the separation happening, right? So, yep. Go ahead, Eric. Yeah, look like you want to say something.
Sure. Well, firstly, I'm like happy you're well enough to make this call to be
Yeah.
here, and thanks for showing up. And I hope it continues your healing. And yeah, something that came to me is like from the lesson was that when you see it in other people, realize it's in you as well. 'Cause that's like been a big part of my journey lately. Like I was always like, wow, that's really cool that people write poetry, and now I'm doing it myself.
Yeah. And you've been writing some badass poetry.
Yeah, wait, there's more. I'll share with you soon.
Okay.
And yeah, no, and just like other things, just like how to be present with people, and like I have pretty good examples of that in my life, and now I'm doing a better job of that. It's already been in me. It's just recognizing it, and no, it just rang true. It hit home for me. So just a confirmation of I'm like doing a lot of this, living the course, even though I'm not reading the book all the time.
Yeah. It's okay. I mean, the transmission is still there,
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, as you're sharing that, like, it's cool watching your life because it's you. I feel like you're in this flow. You're inspired. You're motivated, and you're in a flow state. Of like life. Like everything is just coming and going, and it's like you're not in resistance to it. And it allows you to become more generous and giving of your time and knowing how important community is. When we start to compromise those little things, like we compromise, our light, we compromise peace, we compromise whatever, that's when our life starts going into chaos. That's when we start running into the walls and like, why is this happening to me? Because we're off track, right? Like, just there's a way that we can follow the callings and hear it so clearly and be an inspiration for other people to do that. Yeah. And so it's great.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're doing a fantastic job, and you're being an example. You're like a bridge for a lot of people coming together. And you're just stepping in there. You're stepping in there knowing what your calling is and what you're doing, and that's when creativity starts to flow through. You know,
Yeah.
the poetry and the, the inspired music and all this stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait to share some of the new stuff with you. So I'll see you
Well,
soon.
we'll see you soon. Yes.
Yes. All right. Thanks, brother. I appreciate
Yeah.
you.
Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing.
absolutely.
Anybody else? We have a little more time. I'll loosen this brace. I'm uncomfortable. Whew. Okay, so just flipping through the A Year of Miracles again, and I don't know, this kind of caught my attention. So on rebuilding our lives, just as we look to food to fuel our physical selves, we look to meditation and prayer to fuel our spiritual selves. Meditation is like spiritual exercise, developing our attitudinal muscles and making them strong. Consider it your daily workout. After a certain point in our lives, whether in relation to physical or attitudinal muscles, gravity pulls them down if we're not if we're not working to keep them up. Flabby spiritual muscles are like cynicism, negativity, victim consciousness, anger, judgment, and fear. Wow, that is great. Flabby spiritual muscles. So when you're in cynicism and you're in negativity or you're in victim, you got flabby spiritual muscles. Just as we do well to exercise our bodies on a regular basis, we also do well to exercise our minds. Why? Because we wish to be vital, vigorous, and strong. At a certain point, a constant reenactment of our neurotic dramas becomes as boring to us as they already are to those around us. We are ready to rebuild our lives. Yo, she is great. Flabby spiritual muscles. The reenactment of our neurotic dramas become as boring to us as they are already to those around us. Okay, thoughts? All right then.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that because nobody wants to be flabby. So to say it's a flabby spiritual muscle, it's like, what are you talking about?
I'm totally making a little post for that today.
That's awesome. I like it.
Yeah. All right. Well, anybody else? Anything before we can wrap it up? No need to drag it out if we've got all we came for. Okay. Well, I will end it with this song. Okay. Much love to everyone. Thank you all for hanging out and being a part of these miracle moments. So, thank you everybody online. Thank you everyone that came here on Zoom. Just take a little more time for yourselves whenever you feel like you can just hop off. All right. See ya, IG.